Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it's currently Wednesday, December 28th, 2011, and this is Day 9 Daily 391 Part Dos, where what we are doing is exploring the idea of asking and answering your own questions. In particular, the learning tool that we'll be using in the future is streams on Twitch TV, because we can't cheat and look at what the other player is doing. We can do no such thing. So we can clearly see what they're doing with the limited information they have. In Part 1, we discussed some basic stuff about asking and answering our own questions. We talked about how wonderful it was to ask and answer our own questions. And now what we're going to do in Part 2 is have me do essentially a running monologue while I end up watching this game. In a sense, almost what I would be thinking and saying to myself about the game, irrelevant to what the hell you think about the game, because this is an important thing to note. It's a very personal process to sort of ask and answer questions. If you are a gold level player, you can say something like, I don't know how many colossi I should have before I attack. Something really simple like that. And then you watch, and you go, oh, it looks like I'm seeing 3 and 4 pop up a lot. Or if I get them really quickly, I can do 2. Or hell, how many bases should I have? Like, well, more than 1. Like, these are very simple questions that you will have. But let's go ahead and pop into the game. A brief recap of the game state. It looks like we're just now taking our geysers. We're getting all the prep for air. Love that early upgrade. And I saw this reactor plop down on this thing. The starport is getting a tech lab. I don't like this at all. But that's fine. I'll just talk about it as I go. So now what I'm about to do is my own little personal monologue on what's going on. Let me deselect this freaking reactor. There we go. So my instinct right now is that I gotta start building some Thors. I don't know if he's going roaches or spire. I think that this is a completely reasonable thing to do, but I better do a lot of damage. I see the 3rd command center going down, so that's really good. That drop seems behind. I would just hang out there. So I see the spire now, so now all of a sudden I'm freaking out. So it's definitely time to start at least beginning to build some Thors. I'm surprised that we haven't checked top right at any point in time. I'm starting to be a little bit concerned about that.
Somebody, get me out of this mess.
Where is that Viking? I know he built a Viking. And this is where I think turret count is important. I've gotten in the habit of trying to build as few turrets as humanly possible, but just get them well placed. Because as long as I can get him to back off, then my Thors are going to be in good condition to just sort of do the rest. Because I'm not going to be attacking for a while, especially if I'm meching. Wow, he's still suiciding. I don't know how much I like that. I'm noting that he did send a decent number of Hellions out, and he also was aware of where the Mutalisks were. If you follow my mouse, he saw them there. So maybe that's actually correct. He's got to be a little bit careful about those counterattacks. I'm actually going to pause here and cheat. What does he have here? 2 Hellions? I thought that's what he had, but still, it seems a little bit wasteful. I mean, why not send these 2 Marinis out there? I don't know. I have no idea why he'd be sending the Hellions. Well, I guess with the Hellions you can retreat. So the 2 Thors pop out just barely in time. Jesus. That is bold. And 1 Thor, because it is an idiot, just sort of suicides. Now, this is one thing that I don't quite get. We're seeing this reactor thing go down there. I think that was way too early and way too ambitious. Banshee popping down doesn't really bother me at all. Banshees are very useful in a spot like this against a player who would get some roaches up. We have to build the Thors. I don't think there's any way we can do anything else but build the Thors there. But it's interesting to see him still continue to build a lot of Hellions, still sticking to just 3 factories. He should definitely be aware of those upgrades, and he hasn't done a single attempt to check the top right expansion. Now that surprises me a little bit. What I would have done when the Mutalisks are in my main is take that right watchtower Hellion and send it up to the top right. This seems a little overeager to send this many Hellions up, especially when we just saw the Mutalisks were there. But I don't think he was ever intending on sending them forward to go kill off anything. I think he's just running them through the middle of the map to sort of like see some control. Still have to be building Thors as far as I'm concerned. And yes, the good old turret creeping. This turret creeping makes sense to me. I mean, we don't build the 4th factory, so we just spend all that money building turrets. Damn it, I still have a freaking reactor selected. I don't know why I keep doing that. Man, I'm bad. Woo! Man, I'm bad. Yeah, see, look at that freaking barracks with the reactor sitting on it. I think that was like one of the bigger blunders of the early game. That's kind of a... Yeah, I don't really get why that was hanging out there. He still has everything rallied to his command center at his natural expansion. I'm really torn on whether I should just rally 2 command centers to 1 expansion, or whether I should...
Additional supply depots.
Whoa! Holy crap! I'll finish the thought and then I'll say what I was holy crapping about. I'm torn on whether I should be transferring half workers and then having each command center rallied to its own thing, or whether I should just leave my natural expansion naked and then send things there one at a time.
Upgrade
From each command center. So cool, we're clearing out the watchtowers. If I'm not actively clearing out the watchtowers with this build, I genuinely think that's awful. I went, whoa, because he built those extra... He built the extra factories, and then what did he do? He just made Hellions out of all of them. I'm blown away at how many freaking Hellions this guy's building. And look at the 3 coming up the top side. Now see, this is what I really like, is these small Hellion counter-harassments. And it looks like 3 is a number he's using. Is he always going to send 3, or is he just going to send whatever he has? I mean, constantly using Hellions to clear out the central watchtowers, that makes sense. We get map control with our Hellions. And it looks like he scans... I mean, he scanned at 17 minutes, but I'm just going to say scan around the time that I'm taking my own third. And this was clearly good, but I don't think I was watching my minimap closely enough. I mean, we clearly see the Mutalisks at the wrong side of everything. But, you know, whatever. Okay, so here's a question I would have for myself. I'm noticing that he's built mainly Thors. He does have a tank out right now. I wish I could get slightly better sense of when he's building tanks versus building Thors, but again, this isn't the best thing. The best way to use stuff. It's still through replays. And look at that, only 4 Hellions. It looks like he does even have some back at home. And see, I would have thought that he should be checking that 3rd expansion? Okay, now here's a reasonable question. Should I actually be checking the 3rd expansion? Is that something that I actually need to do? Or should I be... Wait, what? Wait, he's building Marines 2 at a time? Really? He's actually building those Marines? Whoa. That's nuts to me. So it's a time like this when I start to say, well, what the hell was the trigger for this attack? I pretty much get all the harassment up to here. He just killed off a whole bunch of drones. Maybe that's the trigger. He is leaving a Thor back in his main. That's pretty standard. Counterattack just ends up miraculously happening at the wrong time. Like right as one production cycle finishes. But it looks like he's going close to 160 food, so you know what? Question I have, when the hell do I push with Mech? Well, if I've been doing damage all game long, I don't know, 160 food seems good. It also looks like he just finished +2 attack. Is that accurate? Yeah, he just finished +2 attack.
Are under attack.
And now here's something that's interesting to me. We saw the hive getting built, but we only made these starports right after we ended up pushing up to the 3rd. Now here's one of those things, like I'm just gonna pretend I don't do this. So let's pretend that at this point in time, I see those 2 command centers get built, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know you'd actually have enough to build those 2 command centers there.
Mineral field.
I had no idea you'd actually have enough money to do that. Why does he have enough money? Is he just not building enough stuff? In actuality, I mean, pretty much every time you go mech, you end up with like an excess of minerals. And I'm starting to get really curious as to all these Hellion attacks, because as you're noting, they're going really well. Like, insanely, ridiculously well. I'm also noting that he doesn't even spend any time trying to lift up his starports and give them reactors. He's just building a ton of Vikings. So a question I have is a lot about this Hellion placement. When is he placing Hellions where? So I'm going to start to be really watchful for that. And it looks like he actually halts upgrading his mech units in favor of the Vikings. Wow, that blows my mind. I personally never do that. I'm all mech upgrades all the way, man. I go bonkers with that stuff. So taking of this expansion seems reasonable. I personally would not move that 5th command center out. This 4th command center seems fine. I mean, it's really close to where all our stuff is. He's still not moving out any Hellions. He's still not moving out any Hellions. Well, actually, it doesn't even look like he has that many Hellions. Still, he always holds watchtowers with Hellions. That actually... Huh. So, let me actually pause in this analysis and say, you'll see what I'm doing is I'm asking myself the question based upon my own experience, and then, as I'm watching him play, I'm kind of musing on how he's answering them in his play. Wow, he's moving his Hellions around a lot. I wonder how he does that. Wow, huh. Well, I've had trouble with Broodlords. It's kind of funny to see him build 5 starports all at once really boldly. He even scanned the main at 17 minutes, or as I would phrase it, he scanned a little while after he took his own 3rd expansion, saw the hive coming up, and then waited quite some time to build the starports. This is a key moment that I want to note. Let me actually rewind to it, but because replays stink, they only let you rewind in 2-minute increments. So let me speed it up a little bit. So there was this moment where we actually scanned, and we saw this hive coming up. We saw it coming. But notice there are no starports in this main base. None whatsoever. What was one of the questions I told you to ask yourself while you were playing? Or while you were watching someone play? What would I be scared of right now? You scanned and you saw a hive coming. What happens so often is people get scared that Broodlords are coming, so they respond to the fear. Again, what do? You go into lantern mode, right? You just, oh, it could be having Broodlords up. So you just insta-build the starports. He didn't build them at 17 minutes. Look, we're at 1849. He still hasn't built them. He starts building them at, geez, 20 minutes, a full 3 minutes later. And you know what? Amazingly enough, he still had time. These Broodlords have actually just finished up. Only just finished. And these are the sort of things to be very, very aware of. This whole analysis of when your fears are dictating more so than what he can actually do. Do a lot of comparisons. It's really important to do that. This has been happening to me a lot as I was watching some PvPs. I was watching the stream of MVP Tales, I was watching Naniwa, I was watching pretty much anyone who was streaming on Twitch TV that day. Like, just watching everybody, really. Or excuse me, all the people streaming on Team Liquid. And it was amazing because I would think, wow, this is a time when I would be really worried about a 4-gate. And what would happen? Naniwa and Tails, they would not build hardly anything. They would just be moving around with the stalkers, and then they'd pull, and then as they're moving around, they like build a Twilight Council, and I'm like, we're still on 1 gateway. And it's a moment like that where I realize, oh, I was being way too scared when I shouldn't have been so scared. So really important to do your self-fear analysis. So as we're coming here, we're seeing, wow, this player managed to get away with letting his opponent get those Broodlords up. Now, what I am thinking right now as I'm moving out is, what the hell are the Hellions going to do for any sort of counterattack? I know exactly how this push should go. He should siege up, pick off this expansion, he should scan. Alright, there's a scan. He should just pick off the expansion and not go too crazy with advancing too far forward. But I'm mostly interested in the rest of the map. Is he going to be doing anything clever around the rest of the map? I mean, I know he's going to be picking off a lot of Broodlords. Ooh, that actually stinks ass. Oh, that stinks ass. So, yeah, I feel like he's maybe sieging up a little bit late. He did get the Raven out. And for any of you who didn't know, point defense drones can actually shoot down Broodlord broodlings. Did you know that? You can shoot down broodlings. Like, as they're flying down, the little point defense drone phew, picks it off. Surprising percentage of people don't know that, so I figured I'd say it. But he opts not to use that. You know, there was the Raven. Like, why the hell is he building the Raven? And my answer is, I don't know, and I still don't know. Okay, now here we go. He's just going to be doing Hellion counterattacks all around the map. And look at that, only 4. Huh. Just 4. Still hasn't done any add-on swapping on those starports.
Ready to plunder.
Now, here's an interesting question. When is he going to take that 5th base? Follow my mouse cursor. See my mouse cursor going down to the mini-map? He has 4 bases. When does this 5th come up? When does his comfort level increase enough? Now, this makes sense to me that he would be able to do all these Hellion counterattacks with efficiency now, because anytime a Zerg has Broodlords, he loses mobility. So if you are a medevac marining player, you'd be doing a lot of drops right now. It's a very common rule that MVP started to popularize way long ago, and is still popular today. Once your opponent gets Broodlords, start dropping like crazy. Alright, how do we translate that to Mech? Well, once our opponent starts going Broodlord, I counterattack with Hellions like crazy. Oh look, I found 4 tanks. There you go. I'm pretty surprised at how aggressive the Terran player has been thus far. I don't actually feel like he should expand to the bottom left right now. That doesn't feel that accurate to me. He should definitely stop muling right now. That's something that I think that a lot of Terran players do instinctively in the late game, but like don't mule that much in the late game, especially with Mech. There's no real need to. And he is super scaredy cat of advancing to that expansion.
Mineral field depleted.
Huh. Wait, did he just mule? Okay. Phew. Phew! Freaked me right the hell out. Alright, we're going to do it for just another 2 minutes or so. And it looks like he is comfortable hopping into these direct engagements. He doesn't have that many Hellions in these direct fights. Which I don't know if I actually really had an opinion on. I just sort of note that I tend to bring my Hellions into battle. He's slowly phased the Hellions out of his production as time has gone on. And you remember way back long ago I asked myself that really, really early question. When do we stop building the Hellions? And it looked like he was pretty much consistently building Hellions until he started having Broodlord panic attacks and just was producing the Vikings a billion at a time. And even though Thors do kind of suck against Broodlords, I actually think you do need them because of the range is just so huge. And due to the whole clustering thing. I wonder, and see here's a moment to ask something. Weirdly, Zerg is not continuing to press. My gut instinct is Zerg should have enough stuff to come kill me. That's what my gut would tell me. But this is one thing that is so nice about watching pros play and watching, even replays. You can come back and actually just look, wow, in the unit station he only has these infestors, most of which don't really have that much energy. He has 4 Broodlords, 4 Corruptors, and some paltry amount of Zerglings. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, so Zerg actually doesn't have that much. The more you end up watching people from first-person perspectives, the more you will find your huge list of stuff you're scared of doesn't happen. It actually never occurs. Oh, there's a huge attack of Broodlords and it's going to freaking kill me and I'm really terrified and everything sucks. No, you just pull back and everything's fine. Relax, it's all good. And I honestly credit a lot of that to do with the Hellions, because as you'll note, Terran's doing just fine in terms of killing the workers. He's doing A-okay. So that's going to wrap it up for just part 2. There's going to be part 3 coming up in 2 short minutes. But I wanted to recap. What we saw happen in part number 2 is I just did a running monologue of the sort of things that I would think with Mech. And I want you to note that a lot of the things that I was discussing were things about positioning, things about exact timing responses to when the Broodlords were popping up. It was not things like, when do I stop building SCVs? Why? Because these are questions I've asked myself previously and felt like I've been able to give an answer to. It's a very personal sort of thing. The upgrades, very different from how I was doing upgrades. You might not even be beginning to ask yourself those sort of questions. So it's important to just make sure that you are coming up with questions and that you are using streams on Twitch TV and even replays from first-person perspective to try to answer them. Let's hop on to part 3 and wrap this sucker up. Woo!